Welcome back on Delmod. Today I want to propose you a video about the magnetizing about the Stormtalon. The Stormtalon is one of the mods that I liked more when it has been released, even if at the beginning I was not able to use for my army of Blood Angels because it was not available to them. But I still bought two of them to be able to be playing a specific detachment that it was available and using them as a referent. So I decided to use in that way. Anyway, I think that this is a really interesting model and I want to propose you so how to monetize and how to see how you can even try to amplify the option that it can be, because I think that in the future there will be releasing also other options about the personalization that you can have about the weapons and so on. So in such a way you can understand when and where you can go to put hands on the model itself. And we can begin from the section about the pilot itself. About the cabin, I put magnets on the cabin glass so that I can remove and put on the cabin glass itself. It's an aesthetic way. It's simply that I wanted something, and in the case that in the future will be released maybe an armored one, I'm able to put and change it. In this case I put a magnet of 2 for 1mm diameter one, and this is a way that you have to pay attention because the part about the cabin glass it's quite safe, but the part that you can see about the vehicle it's really quite thin, so you risk to ruin. You have to pay quite a lot of attention when you go to drill. Eventually try to use a drill using a smaller drilling so that you have a thinner one and you have a guide, and then through this guide you put the drill to put the 2 for 1mm one. That I think that it's better in this case. In this way the magnet is strong enough and you don't have to worry, and you can change if in the future there's been a change about the armored one, another type of glass or other things, you have such option. Obviously it's also a way that let me put the model inside even if I paint it, because I put the model about the pilot subtly after I built and painted everything else. And using the pilot separately, I think that it's comfortable in the way that you can paint it separately, so you can study how to realize it and so on, study how it is the effect of the pilot using the cabin glass and so on. It's up to you to decide if it's worth for you such a thing. Anyway, I found myself better doing this so that I can prepare all the model about the Stormtalon and then go to put inside the model itself, so that I was able to personalize everything that I wanted, and I had the model ready, because the pilot it was not something that it was a must to have to be able to play the mod itself. So I decided to use such different way so that I prepared everything about the model before, and only afterward I prepared the pilot to put inside. So it's a decision that it's up to you if you want to realize about it or not. And about the closing panel, it's up to you decide if you want to magnetize it so that you can remove and change the pilot itself, or to glue it after that you decide that the model is painted as you like and as you want. So decide, it's up to you. But eventually there is also the option about magnetizing that sincerely I don't think that it's something that I'm interested about, but it's always an option that you can have for creating your own personalization, so eventually remember that there is. And then we can take the flight. But remember to paint the pilot. And then we can start talking about the weaponry. And so I magnetize the steps about the missile launchers, lasers and so on, because they were, I think, needed to be able to save a lot of money, be able to interchange. And about this, I decided to use a magnet in a specific position. This position is due to the position about the holes that are yet prepared about the big part about the missile launcher, and about the part that it's hold where you can put the laser and reckon. So I put the magnet there so that I was able to use the requiem and the laser itself as a way to make contact with the magnet on the Stormtalon itself. To magnetize the laser and the requiem themselves, I decided to use a bit of Patafix blue tack to fix the part that is solid and use the drill to create the hole itself, so that then I was able to have solid one. I decided to use as magnets 2x2mm ones, cylinder ones, because I found them that are perfect, but you have a really quite small limit, because they are really at limit of the parts that you can use. So pay attention when you go to use such magnets and you create a drill, because you don't have a lot of surface where you can play, so you have to be precise of what you are going to do. So eventually pay attention about such thing. And here we can see all the lateral weaponry options that we have till now about such Stormtalon, and I find them quite interesting to interchange eventually. One particular note about the hold one: you can use it in reverse, so you can use this hold one as a guide to create the holes on the Stormtalon where you go to put the magnets for the Stormtalon itself. So they can be used both for creating the holes for the weapons and for the vehicles itself. And then I magnetize the bottom weapon of the Stormtalon. In this case I decided to magnetize this because I wanted two effects. One is that the weapon itself can rotate 360 degrees without any problem. The other part is that it can be stored safely, so I don't risk to ruin the weapon itself. And this is an option, obviously. In this case I suggest to put the magnets on the surface where you can see them, and to realize such one I suggest you to put 5mm diameter and 1 thickness of the magnets, so that you can meet it safely and it's not so difficult to create the options available. Obviously it's up to you to decide if you want to magnetize somewhere else or to glue. Simply it's an option that I think that it's really comfortable to use. Obviously you can also magnetize the part about the assault cannon. For now there are no other options available, but you can decide to magnetize them so that you can change with laser cannons, thermic ones, in prevision of what it can be released in the future about such weapons, because it can be available, or because you want to personalize it, because maybe your own chapter and so on. It's up to you, but it's an option. And then the lateral boosters. About such boosters, I suggest you not to glue them, but keep them off so that you can use a mechanical attach. In this case, I think that it would be better because it would let you to remove them to store the model safely, or simply because in the future can be used the same structure of the model itself and you can create other boosters, other options available. It's an option obviously. Or you can magnetize the option and the space is perfectly suited and it's not difficult to do. So eventually you can also that way, but I suggest you not to glue them anyway, because I think that it will be a pity, because then you have some problems to move and so on. So I think that it's better to keep them as they are. And then we have the basis, where we can find that we can personalize it with mosaic, shiny elements, rocks and everything that we want. But the main part about the base is that pillar, that transparent pillar that we have, because that one, yes, keep up the Stormtalon, but the problem is that how do you store it, because it's quite big. So in this case you have to decide if you want to magnetize it at the base, and in that case you can think if you want to put magnet on the base itself, cover it a bit, then put the magnet under the base, or drill that part from the beginning. And in the case that you do this, you have to pay quite a lot of attention, because it's a bit a problem about to magnetize it, because it's quite thin. So pay attention about this, because it's a thing that can have a bit of problem afterwards. So you can do, simply pay attention, because you have to do in the way that it's also stable, so that it's not a problem when you put the model on the pillar and then the pillar on contact with the base itself. So pay attention in this case, but there are a lot of potential to personalize this part of the model. As you understood, I really like a lot such model and I think that it's really beautiful and amazing. Obviously, it's up to you decide how much you want to personalize it using icons, how much you want to monetize it, because you have, as I said, a lot of different options available. It's up to you. Sincerely, I find it really quite interesting. Obviously, the rules and the cost of the model in points, it depends by the edition, the codex and so on, so it's not something that I can say that it's always worth, but as I said, I like a lot the model, so in my opinion it's worth like this, even if it is like it is, so it's interesting. Anyway,
from Dynamod it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again. To the next time.